All right, welcome everyone to the Fresno Bitcoin and Cryptocurrency Investors Meetup. Today is September 11th, obviously a date we remember, and we're thinking about those folks. Today we're going to be talking about launching your own crypto coin with a special guest. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to join us due to a family emergency. He had to go out of town. But it looks like we have enough folks that are interested in the same topic, and we'll kind of keep going there. So we're going to kind of continue, just check in with Elias, Scott, Andy, and JP, see where you guys are on your crypto journey. Let's see, Elias, I don't see you muted, so jump in. Tell us where you're at on your crypto journey.
Hello. I'm trying to turn on my webcam, but I'm not. Okay, it doesn't matter. But I just actually found this group just now. So I went on Meetup and I was like, I want to learn more about crypto. And I found you guys launching your own crypto, and that really intrigued me. So this is my first time here, and I'm glad to be here. I'm heavy into yield farming and decentralized finance right now. I've done trading crypto, did trading stock. I'm investing too, but I'm into yield farming. So I want to create my coin because everybody else is doing it. So I'm like, I want to try it out too. So that's why I'm here.
All right, well, welcome. I'm glad you found us. And where are you from? What city or area or state? Or
Denver, Colorado.
Denver. Okay, great. And yeah, it's been fascinating getting people from all over the country. Okay, great. Andy, where are you on your crypto journey, and where are you checking in from?
I'm checking in from Fresno. I'm actually the last time I've been logged into this meetup was probably 2 months ago.
Yeah, so, I recognize your voice. Yeah, good to have you back.
As far as where I'm at, I'm still buying Bitcoin, still a Bitcoin bull long term. Big on Bitcoin. Let's see where I'm at. I'm still speculating on altcoins. I like to trade. As far as where I'm at, I think I'm okay with where I'm at as far as my Bitcoin allocation. So
yeah, no, that's good. I'm just trying to, sometimes people have been, they've been trading for years, they've been mining, others just barely got a wallet or trying to get a wallet. So I'm just trying to get an idea of, background.
Yeah, I started in May of 2017 is when I
okay. So you're really a pro. So Karen,
yeah,
Andy's got you beat by a couple of years, but that's okay.
I'm pretty savvy with it.
Yeah.
Good.
Good. Okay. Great. JP, is this your first time with us? Welcome.
It might be my first time. I'm trying to see which type of group it was that I joined in San Juan Capistrano long ago. So anyway, where I'm at right now is that I have a platform that is for software, hardware, and telecommunication engineers, and that I'm developing, and I have a unique use for something that's tangible on cryptocurrency, and something that can actually have value to it, and as opposed to done out of thin air, which is basically okay too, but I would only do it if there's something tangible backing it. And it's kind of it manages risk.
Okay.
It manages risk. I'll say that, and it kind of like mixes it up a little bit where it's fair to everybody still.
So this is what your platform, this is kind of the goal of your platform?
No, it's one. it's one aspect of it
Okay.
that I'm hoping to introduce, and I don't know anything about creating a coin or anything like that. So I figured, well, this is the first step, and I know there's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and I know there's a lot of stuff like farms creating it and using overabundance of electricity and stuff like that, and but I just have something where it's where you could definitively say, okay, well, that came from this, and it kind of like makes it where it shares the risk between different people and in different capacities.
Okay, good. Okay, let's see. I think Scott is the only one we hadn't heard from. If you want to jump in real quick, Scott, and let us know where you're at on your journey.
Hello, this is my first time here. Thanks for having me, Brad.
Excellent. Glad
So
to-
I've been in crypto about a year, but I got my first exposure to Bitcoin in 2013. Was looking at becoming a miner and decided against it at that time, which was probably a mistake in hindsight. But no, seriously, for the last about 14 months or so, I've been involved pretty heavily in educating myself about crypto and trying to get in a meaningful way. So I'm currently hodling the top 2 or 3 coins, and I'm dabbling in another 25 or 30. I have a crypto meetup group here in North Idaho. We meet once a week on Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock in the morning. So just before this meeting, this week's meeting was canceled because I got COVID. And so I'm on the recovery at this point, but was very interested to see how your meeting runs online, because I think we have a number of people who would like to join our meeting that are not physically close to us or have trouble getting travel to the destination.
Yeah, that's one thing I've found since we went online is we've gotten more folks, and it's been easier even for the people in Fresno to join in. And I think it's worked out, for the positive.
So could I ask a question? So Scott, are you in Post Falls?
I am.
So I was thinking about joining your group because I'm in Spokane and right now in Elk, Washington. So we need to connect.
I absolutely encourage you to come. I do a presentation every week, and this next few weeks we're focusing on how to do your own research, how to look into a coin tokenomics, its market, its potential, its competitors, those kinds of things. I kind of stick myself out there, and then I have to work all week to figure out what I'm supposed to talk about on the Saturday meeting. So I can be a little bit disorganized, but nobody else seems to want to jump in and take on that role. So that's where I sit. It's been really good for me. It's helped me tremendously to learn about the various facets of different cryptos and the way that the community works on these things. I'm not a financial background person. I'm a tech background person, electrical engineer, worked for a long time in software and hardware development. So this stuff is easier to understand, but it's not something that's native to anybody that I know. So I do my best to try and learn and share that. And I think it's been very powerful way to keep myself accountable to interact with people and say, hey, next week I'm gonna stick it out there and do this. And then I have to figure out how to do it. So it's been fun.
Excellent.
Well, nice.
Yeah, then Renee, thank you for asking him where he was, because that was my next question.
Sorry.
No, that was perfect, because
Okay.
and now I have another couple reasons to visit my brother between you and Scott, because he is actually in Hauser Lake. He was
Okay,
in Post
yeah.
Falls for a number of years, 15 years, and he just built a house a year ago at somewhere around Hauser Lake is all I know. I've only been up there one time.
Well, I have 2 pieces of advice for you, Brad. Number one is take your California plates off when you hit the Idaho border, because people up here are really hateful about it. I come from California and I kept my mouth shut because people really don't like it. The other thing I would tell you is Idaho's full.
No, I want to move there more and more every month. So that will.
Oh my God.
Let's
Yeah.
not get distracted too much on there, but I did put my contact info, and definitely send me your contact, or get in touch with me, Scott, and you can go from there. Looks like Hannah jumped in. Let's check in with her, and then
Hey, can I ask a question after that? Is there a possibility of getting a contact list? So I'm on my cell phone. It's kind of like got a low battery right now, and it's on Zoom, so it doesn't charge as fast. And I'd hate to get the light to come on, the light to come on and kill the battery. But is there a way of getting a contact list of everybody?
we actually started that thanks to Deborah a couple months ago, and we have people that have joined that, volunteered their information. So I'm going to post that in the chat here. And so what you need to do is go to that and request edit access, and then I'll give you edit access so you can share and enter your info.
Can someone send me an email with a link? Because the moment I set my screen on, it's going to kill the battery. It's JP at capistranocomputers.com.
Oh,
Yeah, I see there. Yeah, we'll get you in touch here and get everybody.
Yeah, I appreciate it, because I can't get on the chat right now.
Okay,
Or a
no worries.
transcript of the chat.
We'll get you rolling. Hannah, jump in and tell us where you're at on your crypto journey and where you're calling from today.
Can you hear me?
Perfectly. Yeah, go for it.
Oh, okay. I've never used Zoom on my phone, and I'm not dressed so I can see any picture of me. I mean, I haven't put my makeup on or anything. Everyone else looks nice, not me. But anyway, on my crypto journey is I'm really just kind of specializing right now in the standard ones and just learning. I mean, you've helped me learn a lot about things. I have several wallets. I read about it a lot. I have some, and I think it might be the real future, but I think I posted an article, about how everything was falling this week, and, just wonder, keep up what's going on with the current times with all of this. So that's kind of where I am. I'm still more in a research, but I have some that I'm holding on with dear life, actually. Yes.
Excellent.
Hodl, is that how you say it?
Some hodl, some hodl, and either way, as long as we're holding on, that's
Absolutely. I am holding on and hoping that some of these are really going to turn out to be great. How's that?
Excellent. Glad to have you on. And I know you're calling in from Florida, so good to have you on.
I am, and I have some things that are going on, but I saw it and I wanted to at least stop in and say hi, and thanks for having these calls. Appreciate it.
All
But
right.
I'm going to turn out right now because I've got some stuff to do, but just wanted to say hi and appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, and we do record these, and there'll be a link sent out and all that. So that's all good. So great.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
I'm going to
Brad?
start with Marie. Oh, Mauricio, go ahead. I was going to start with you. Go ahead.
Real quick, what's the name of the gentleman that was speaking about cryptos at the country level?
Oh, that
Luis?
That was Luis. Yeah. And I'm like,
Oh, okay.
and I love that you're talking about Costa Rica, because that country I have more interest in than other countries. So let me start with you. Is so why do you want to launch a coin?
Well, again, I'm here to learn, right? Cryptos attract wealth, and I'm also very you could say an advocate for conscious capitalism. And when you have wealth, you can do a lot of good things. And I think there's ways to, and that's why I got attracted to this meeting. There's ways to protect the environment, fight off capitalism that comes into Costa Rica to knock down the forest and build hotels. When you have money, you can fight money. Obviously, also the thing of the future, as I was mentioning, and it's just for a social cause, really. And it's just fun,
Okay, so in El Salvador, I think you'd mentioned that, and it looks like they're trying to use that as a national currency, for lack of a better term. So are you looking at doing something that broad or grand, or a little more specific? with what you're-
Yeah, something. Well, it's tricky to see how this would go, because you could, my experience, I've worked with the government, and there's always a bot, yes, bot, but yes, bot, because it just sort of ends up threatening their own establishment in the end, because the cost would be really, to build wealth for everyone, to use it as a currency for everyone, but to kind of solidify the country as an environmentally supportive country, because they are doing good, but you do have a lot of loopholes there, on basically the opposite, environmentally wise. Also, you could just do so many things with that once you have a currency that's independent from the government. It might be, an ideal that's kind of flying high, but it's just fun to take on the challenge.
Yeah. Now, how is the Costa Rican currency? Is it tied to the dollar at all? The US dollar?
Yeah. I mean, basically, that's all. The dollar is widely accepted down there,
Mhm.
and it ends up being the way that you relate to the value of things. We always compare it with the dollar ultimately,
Right.
and yeah, our inflation is it's not that great, and I'm used to double digits. I grew up with double digits.
Yeah. Okay. So you're from Costa Rica? Was that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
I don't know if I
Yeah.
missed that. Okay.
Yeah, and I have a lot of, because I import from there. I mean, e-commerce, I import a lot from there. I've been doing it for 20 plus years, and I know a lot of people there, in the government, not at the highest level, but at mid level, because exports, I've worked with them to support other exporters as well. So I like to bring up the idea at some point, but that would not be the only route. There's many ways that this can be done, and it doesn't have to be the national currency either, right? It could be an independent one, but ultimately, something environmentally promotive, like somebody put in the chat about that eco coin. I thought that was really cool.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And on the Meetup group, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, I thought that this was the cryptocurrency eco coin group, but maybe that's how I was directed to this group.
Yeah, Alex, and I apologize that the person that started that group, she sent me a message saying, hey, I'm going to cross promote your meeting. And then I saw it posted on hers, and it looked like it was a meeting in her group, but it said it was hosted by us. So I'm happy for the cross promotion, but I didn't know if she was trying to hijack something or whatever. But it seemed like her intentions were good, kind of thing. So I apologize, and I think her group just started too, so maybe she hasn't done a meeting yet.
That's right.
Okay. So apologize for any confusion.
That's okay. It's good to find out about different groups and cross connect them.
Exactly. Yeah, because we can totally learn from each other, and it doesn't matter where we are. And at least it's easy now with Zoom. I don't have to go to Idaho to see Scott's group, kind of thing. Luis, feel free to jump in here with the Costa Rica thing. The other thing I see the crypto doing is helping countries get away from being tied to the US dollar and the good or the bad that is type of thing. So I didn't know if that was something you were thinking of too, or just wanting to be away from just the Costa Rican government as opposed to the US as well.
I didn't think about it that way. Really, the way that I I mean, it could be also that, right? Wherever the benefit ends up being, then let it be where it lands. I'm sure, once, if there's a lot of PR, ultimately people are on board, right? Especially when it's the name of a country these days, that just makes a lot of news. It ends up being that way, but the intent is not to fight the government. That's pointless. But rather to have people some tools to for themselves to improve their own lives. And like I was saying, when you attract wealth, then you can fight wealth, and there's a lot of as we do have a lot of great environmentally friendly laws and rules, and people are really conscious down there. It's impressive. But you have the opposite as well. Tremendous, just things that are really scary for the environment as well, and abuse and so forth. And so it's just kind of to give some more tools to people, given that this is growing. And if I'm capable to do that, that would be great. And then just the PR, right? It's just kind of like what do you call the meme stocks or meme coins. I mean, if it becomes a meme coin, it's also PR. Then people, it also starts to build more wealth. More consciousness about the environment. I mean, we have the climate change situations and so forth, right? So all across, I think it's when you have something that has a purpose that is beneficious for everyone and not so much profit driven, it ends up attracting more profit and more people and support.
Okay. Now, when you say build wealth or attract wealth, are you talking about people internationally investing in that coin and kind of money coming in from outside the country?
Yeah. And again, the reason why I'm here is because of technicalities. I am not a techie guy. I'm so kind of like the basic e-commerce pay-per-click guy. I can do a lot of that.
Okay.
Understanding blockchain is just I'm not even a baby yet. It's just I'm just kind of like reading how that whole works. But your questions, the all the macro, I do see it possible. There is a lot of international people in Costa Rica. There's a lot of people that have interests in Costa Rica for the environment, right? Because there's so many species there and so forth. So they wouldn't be hard to get a lot of people on board at the PR level, right? At the same time, I know people that run the exports office, and if I get them on board, right, I can easily say, hey, why don't we start accepting this coin at the airport? The airport has a lot of traffic, right, and people can buy stuff there. I own my own brand, Jungle Pulp. It's kind of a jungle brand, sort of Costa Rica a theme brand, and people can buy from our website also with that. So it could that's like a start, right? A lot of them could be false starts, but hey, you just keep on going.
Okay. I read a little bit about the El Salvador, how it started, and it looked like somebody donated like a couple million in Bitcoin, and it was like, okay, they have to use the Bitcoin, and it seems like we need some kind of kickstart like that to do that. Have you thought about that? Because you mentioned taking it at the airport.
Yeah.
Obviously, acceptance of the coin and use of the coin is crucial if it's going to be more than just a hobby thing.
Right.
Deal.
Right. Yeah.
Utility.
But
Yeah.
what
There's
people,
so much traffic there. No, go ahead.
Yeah.
oh, no, I was just going to say the function already exists. If you're a member of an airline credit card or a hotel credit card, you get perks. That is what we're talking about with the function of some of these brand coins. So you create a brand. I forget his name, the guy who owns the Dallas Mavericks on Shark Tank.
Oh, Mark Cuban.
Cuban, right. So he accepts Doge, right? Dogecoin now for Dallas Mavericks merchandise. And if people play with that, you know, you'll probably have promotions where you get discounts, right, on the stuff, you know, using $1 versus using something else. So if you have your own branded coin, that's more and more what we're going to see. But that function already exists, right? It's tied into the brand. It's promoting a brand through some monetary means, which is in this case a coin, and you create brand loyalty that way.
Yeah, I like that. You know, the other thing that you mentioned, Dogecoin, which, you know, you guys can correct me, that there's so much wealth concentrated in like a few folks, right, that are invested in that coin, and that would be something that I would envision not to have that kind of all concentration in one power kind of thing, but rather, you know, sort of for everyone, it can have the opportunity to jump in.
You know, there is a coin, an eco coin already out there. Has anybody heard of this organization called Renewable Revolution? No,
I have not.
Well, there's a company, it's called Envision, and I heard about it about 6 months ago. They have a token coin that allows companies and manufacturers to track their energy use with this coin. And so they have it's DeFi, so it's using smart contracts, and all the pardon me, Envision. Here, let me put it in the chat, because they presented to the United Nations, and I'm surprised that there isn't more visibility about this.
I will look at that. Thank you so much for that feedback.
There it is. So it's a token, and the company is Envision, like that.
Oh, I love the different spelling.
Got it.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, so check it out, and I think you'll find that this is right in line with the whole eco emphasis with currency, crypto.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good. Thanks, Alex. Luis, jump in here, and I know you'd mentioned the Costa Rica aspect, or what are your thoughts? And maybe, you know, get you and Mauricio connected.
For sure.
Yeah, no, I just mentioned because I think a while ago you guys were aware about Venezuela issuing their own cryptocurrency, the Petro, you know, and to be honest with you, I mean, if you read the white paper, it was a good implementation, and I don't think they created the currency themselves. I think that they had the support probably from some other countries. They were planning to use Singapore or some of the Singaporean algorithms for validation, and then I think it seems to me that also the Russians were helping them. So, you know, it seemed to me that it was like a good project, bad country, right? Yeah, and it was always on my mind, you know, what could be a good project in a good country, and that's when Costa Rica came to mind. So I've always had an interest. I'm a libertarian. I always have an interest in monetary policy. Many years ago, when I discovered that the Federal Reserve was a private bank and not a national bank, it was shocking to me that a small group of people were owners of the monetary power of a country, and being the United States, that country, it was of the world. Yeah, so it was shocking to me at that time. But not only that, then I understood that even the Federal Reserve is subservient to other powers. In this case, the Bank for International Settlements, which is the central bank of all the central banks in the world. And that's when I understood that, hey, only a few people in the world are controlling the whole monetary power of the world, and they control exchange rates. They control the ups and downs, the booms and the busts, and so many things. So that's when I said, how can that be stopped? And it seems to me that when Bitcoin came out, that's the first thing that caught my attention, that the banks were in panic. All of the banks were in panic. The Federal Reserve was also in panic, so much so that they basically, for a while, they tried to control most of the nodes of Bitcoin, and they wanted to analyze the system and how it works and all that. And even nowadays, they say, well, Bitcoin has been one of those underground projects developed by the CIA and this and that. Well, I don't believe that, because of many different things, and how Bitcoin basically break the power of money, because he who controls the issuing of money basically controls the country, and that's how it has been since the beginning of financial capitalism 200 years ago. And so this was for the first time, an outside the box solution on how power can return to the people. Basically, a system, a monetary system, where people can issue their own currency, and that's what is happening all over the world right now. And when the banks saw that they couldn't do anything to stop it, now they just have to join, and I don't want to offend anybody, but one clear example, for example, is XRP. XRP was issued by the banks, JP Morgan and all the other banks, and they talked to many different banks in Japan and other places, simply to basically have a currency that all banks can control and they can exchange. That's how XRP started. And many of these projects are like that. They have the appearance of a decentralized, because to me, what I'm looking is for certain faculties, and the faculties more important is one of them is decentralization. When we talk about sovereign state cryptocurrencies, decentralization has to be the decentralized system. It has to be censorship resistant. It has to be trustless. I mean, nobody in between has to validate, but just the brilliance of the mathematical algorithm behind it. So that's more than anything. That was more than anything my interest. When I saw this meeting about creating your own cryptocurrency, that's the focus that I want. Maybe I'm saying Costa Rica because my understanding is that the largest bank in Costa Rica, one of the largest banks in Costa Rica, belongs to the people. That's the I lived in Costa Rica for a couple of months, and at least that's what I found out. People are very friendly. They are very technology friendly as well. They have a good number of people, and labor that speak English. They have a good level of education as well. So for all those reasons, probably, yes, the next in line after El Salvador. By the way, Salvador only, they only accept. They say that they will make a Bitcoin cryptocurrency, legal tender. Excuse me. The next step would be to have like a country like Costa Rica issuing their own national currency, but in digital form. Yeah, and the reason why I say there is a sense of urgency to do that is because if we don't do it, the banks and the IMF, I don't know if you're familiar with the
The
international
central banks are
monetary
going to get involved. Right.
Exactly. If we don't do it, then they're gonna do it. And when they do it, they will do it to, to keep on sustaining their empire. Right?
The system and power they have. Yeah. You mentioned the petro. What is the current status of the petro there in Venezuela as far as,
Yeah.
I've heard a little bit about it, but I'm guessing what I've heard has probably been, filtered and that kind of thing. Just give us 60 seconds on, what's going on with it now, if you know.
Yeah. I can tell you what I liked about the petro. Well, the status right now is that it didn't succeed. I don't think anybody probably, they cut the breathing lines for Venezuela, financial lines of Venezuela with the banks. So I don't think that anybody's accepting petro. I don't think, at least probably, it's only underground, but it has many good things. One of the things was, okay, it was backed up by oil. That's one of the things. It was not a fiat. It was backed up by oil. That's one of the things that was nice. The other thing is that validation nodes were in the community, meaning the communities had the power to validate and then keep the profits of the commissions, and every single region would keep a percentage of the profits based on population, so that meant that the growth and the shrinking of the monetary mass was according to the economy and according to the population. So it was decentralized. It was, in that sense, yeah, it was also not fiat. So they couldn't print, petros like crazy. So the system was, and the algorithms, they were not using algorithms created by themselves. Like I said, they wanted to involve a Singaporean company that was working with the Russians. That's when I said, oh, okay, here, I don't think Maduro has the intelligence to implement something like this. Probably the Russians were involved from the beginning. That's when I.
My perception was that they were, trying to do an end run around those financial limitations, and it was more an international thing. Where was there a push to try to get people to use it in country as well, or how much were they doing that in country?
Yeah, they basically, what they basically wanted is, okay, the US has seized all our oil reserves. They have seized our accounts, and what else can we do? Yeah, so they started working on many different things, and one of the things that they work on was the petro, but I don't think it worked. And now probably they are doing money just like they've been doing for the past 10 years since Chavez left, is drugs. I don't know if you know about the drug that comes from Bolivia, Peru, cocaine, gets to Central America, Dominican Republic, Mexico, Venezuela, and then from there heads to the US, and from Venezuela also to Africa and Europe.
Yeah.
So,
okay, let's not get too sidetracked on all the drug stuff that. I was just more curious on if it was, they're trying to use the coin in country as well, because that's kind of similar to what we're talking about. And a couple of folks have joined us recently. Unfortunately, our
Can I
guest,
just grab real quick,
Yeah,
Luis?
yeah.
Can I get your phone number?
yeah, I put into chat. Are you able to see the chat on there? I'll type it in again here.
Okay,
Oh, there you
yeah.
Or you're talking about Lewis. If anybody wants to throw in their
Both of
contact
you.
info, go ahead and just
Yeah,
put
both
it
of you.
into chat.
I got. Yeah.
I know, unfortunately, if you join after the chat was posted, then you don't see it, but
You can scroll up. There's a group contact list link. It by default gives permission for people to be contacted. So I think everybody should get familiar with it.
yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
if the people joined after that was posted. You know, for example, Ernest joined recently after I posted those links. Ernest, can you see the post
can
going back
scroll.
to like 10:02? Okay, all right, I wasn't sure if that worked, but good. So yeah, let's see, yeah, James, Ernest, and is it Joa? Yeah, anything you guys want to throw in on the crypto, on the new coin, you know, or other places that would make sense to potentially use a new coin? Not necessarily across a whole country level, but maybe a community level, that kind of thing.
Fred, could you just give a little overview of why we want to create a new coin? Why not use Bitcoin? Why not use Cardano? Why not use something that's already there and try to build on it through blockchain? So I just don't get that yet.
Okay, that's that would have been a great question for our guest, and that's what I had for him.
If I could step in for a second,
Yeah.
I would say two things. I would say one is creating a coin from scratch becomes a full-time job very quickly, and you will have trouble implementing the end game that you want if you have really large goals for your coin or token, depending on what you're making. If you're making a coin, then you're making your own blockchain, and that's very difficult. If you're making a token, then you're writing a smart contract on top of another blockchain. But for Mauricio and Luis, I was hearing that you want to see people using a coin, but you also want to raise capital in order to try to combat against things like destruction of the environment. And I would encourage you to look at something like lossless lottery style DeFi, such as Pool Together or Moonpots, somebody like this, where you could create a pot that has a partial charity output and a partial payoff that goes back to the people that get in it. If you're not familiar with these things, lossless lottery is a place where you put money in, you get a yield back on the money, you get the money back later if you want it, and you're in a lottery. So you might look into those as by
Scott, could you type
like
those?
With
Could you type those in the chat? Because I don't know if I.
Yeah, or if there's
I'm
a
not
certain
sure if
site
I
I can bring up
can,
and share the screen.
Pooltogether.com is a lossless lottery. They're one of the older and more famous ones. These are places where you can take and deposit the coin that they have in their lottery pot. And then that coin is used in a liquidity pool and yields an income. That income is split. Part of it goes back to you because you're a depositor, and part of it goes into a prize pool that you were randomly selected from. This would allow you to keep your money, be in a lottery, but there are ways to structure them such that some portion of it goes outside of that for a common purpose. So you could create a DeFi lottery pool like this that actually yielded every week some income for the purpose of conservation or legal fight or other things like that through an institution that was, say, you know, like a nonprofit. Does that make sense?
Oh.
Yeah, thank you. I noted. I'm gonna do some research on that. Looks interesting.
Yeah,
Excellent.
so maybe to answer Renee's question, why you'd want to do your own is kind of so you can set up your own rules, just like Scott referenced, you know, and then some people refer to that as the tokenomics, as far as how the token operates. If there's certain things you want it to do or who you want it to benefit or who you want to
Yeah, so you could probably make that more easily transparent and useful by making a pool of some kind or a smart contract that is publicly audited. You can ride somebody else's code and do minor changes to create a new smart contract for a different purpose. Some of these pools use their own, they make their own pool tokens, and then you can use those tokens for another purpose. So they can get quite complex. I was really expecting people to be talking about social use tokens, because this is the common mode that people are making their own coins in today. If social influencers are creating tokens and using the tokens to reward fans for interaction or for support, and then they provide potential special access to the holders. So that was the way that I was thinking I would be interested in creating a token, and the token would write a contract that allowed me to give them away to, say, people that attended my meetings. And then if you held so many of these tokens, that meant that you went to so many meetings. That meant you could, get a free T-shirt or get some kind of an NFT. Like I gave away NFTs a few weeks ago. So that was where I was going with the token. So I had a much smaller game in mind in terms of what people wanted to do with a coin. And I didn't feel like something as large as a conservation group or something like that was on my mind at all. So I find this conversation very interesting.
So you're talking more about a rewards program then?
Yeah, essentially that's what social influencers are doing today. They're building programs that say you get on their Twitter and you retweet their tweet or something like this, then you get so many of their social token. And they can implement a lot of these things using bots on the social media. So people who interact on Telegram, they can do things like count up the times that you share something, or that you say you like something, this kind of stuff.
Okay.
If you maybe think about it as rewards on a country or a community level, if you could set, just think if you could actually redo the monetary system and reward people for things that we should be doing, maybe, as opposed to things, I don't know.
Well, remember, there's two sides to central bank digital currency, which is now a sure thing, right? So you have China, that's already been, all the countries have been working on it, some more public than others. So you have China that's already out with their second level beta testing on their central bank digital currency. One could argue that for all intents and purposes, the US has been having digital currency anyway, because we are digitized in terms of our fiat usage. However, the black side of digital currency, which reminds me a little bit of a Black Mirror episode, is when you tie social standing to the currency that you're using. So, for example, in China, which is a real thing, not something made up by Hollywood, you are, depending upon whether you speak positively or negatively regarding the party's stance, or your positioning, or your ethnic heritage, this will affect your social score, which will in turn affect your ability to get a passport, or let's say, just an interest rate, as we now know is done in our country. Some people get better interest rates than others if they want to buy a car or a house. So the downside with CBDCs is that you will have another layer of control, if with a large country. Now, on the other side, you're going to have the European Union, looking at their own CBDCs, the US, Russia, India. Right now, I think I saw an announcement, Singapore, Australia, and I can't remember the third country. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe New Zealand was involved, but they're going to pool together for their own CBDC. So at the end of the day, as you zoom out with these broad concepts, you're looking at all the tribes that of humans that exist around the world, right? And how we band together for our common interests. And at the end of the day, the link between currency and the ability to protect or have a military, right? If you don't agree with the concepts, for example, that are going on in another part of the country versus the concepts that you're brought up with. So things like decentralized currency like Bitcoin is a threat, right, to every central entity. But it's really, really important to be for freedom as well. So there's going to be, especially we're at a very important point in human history, right, to be able to balance what's happening on a country level versus what's happening on an individual freedom level. So, you know, I have libertarian thoughts in general. I'm a big Bitcoin supporter. But you know, you have to also understand that there will be central bank digital currencies. It's going to happen. It's going to happen fast. If the U.S. hasn't been working on it, they'll probably team up with somebody like USDC Coin, who has been making a lot of announcements about complying with all of the U.S. regulations and why. You know, it's really good positioning. If behind the scenes, you know, the U.S. is not as far enough along, you're going to have to team up with companies that already have the protocols in place. So anyway, so at a very big level, you know, you've got the central bank digital currencies going on, at a lower level, the threat to the banks, you know, versus independent, you know, cryptocurrency and individual freedoms. So, and then, you know, as I think as Scott brought up, you know, at even the more individual level in terms of branding, you know, with your own currencies for your own brands, for your own promotions, your own social tokens, or tokens that are just put out there, you know, for billionaires to make more money, you know, as a meme coin. So you have to be, it's a very complex space, and there's a lot going on.
Yeah, in line with that, I mentioned right at the beginning, probably a lot of you didn't hear it, is I'm part of a community of a specific crypto coin. It's called GS or G999 coin, and the organization is GS Partners. So I put in a link to it, and you can check it out. There's videos. It's worldwide, and a lot of people in Australia and England and Germany and the US as well. But check it out, and we can talk about it if you want.
Okay, thanks. Hey, James, thanks for joining us. I know you joined us a little bit late, but good to have you. Where are you checking in from?
Yeah, well, I'm in Seattle, but I'm actually a smart contract developer, Ethereum. So I write Ethereum smart contracts for a living. I work at a DeFi startup. I've been a very early DeFi user. I pretty much watched the whole the birth of the whole industry. Like started using ETHLend, MakerDAO, issuing DAI. So I still issue all of my DAI on MakerDAO just because I like the platform. Yeah, so I'm all Ethereum pretty much. I'm also I am a fan of Bitcoin because but I pretty much use Bitcoin as just digital gold. I don't touch it. I just put it there.
Okay.
Right. Ethereum is for providing financial services in a decentralized fashion. That's what I use Ethereum for. So I actually provide liquidity across most of the top DeFi platforms, all the DEXs, lending, borrowing, insurance, derivatives, options, structured products. Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay, cool. No, good to have you. And from your perspective, is Ethereum still the place to be? I know you're going to say yes, but it seems like it's, you know, it's having some challenges compared to these others, you know, the Cardano and Binance and now KuCoin. How do you see them fitting into the space?
For now, all the innovation is still happening in the Ethereum ecosystem. I mean, all the other chains are just talking about it. They're not really, especially Cardano, right? Now some of the chains I am seeing, outside of Ethereum, you basically have basically a few types of different chains. So there is the Ethereum sort of copycat chains. So so you have your Binance Smart Chain, you have your Polygon. These are more or less just compatible chains, right? So now these chains, there's not a whole lot of real DeFi innovation going on. Like they're not solving any problems. They're just taking the existing Ethereum contracts and rebranding them, recompiling, rebranding. Like Ethereum is actually doing, like if you look at some of the newer DeFi protocols, like Barn Bridge, for example, is reducing, is tokenizing risk. So it splits like a volatile token that that like Bitcoin, for example, well, not wrapped Bitcoin, but similar, right? And it turns it into a stable version and a volatile version, like a really stable version and a really volatile version. So now merchants can accept the stable version and the speculators can use the volatile version, right? So like this is financial innovation. Well, it's not really innovation because this kind of stuff exists in traditional finance, like CDOs, but seeing that stuff happening in DeFi is pretty cool, right? And the only true DeFi innovation is like flash loans. That's the only thing. I deal with that on a daily basis. I handle liquidations at Notional Finance, and that's what I do. But the thing is, like innovation is inside the Ethereum ecosystem is crazy. It's like we basically have almost everything that we hope to have. And we've migrated all of that over from traditional finance. And you just don't see that elsewhere, right? Like all the other systems. Solana, for example, is trying to bootstrap everything from scratch. You have to understand that writing all of that stuff from scratch is going to take a long time, right? And also you need to make sure it's written properly. Smart contracts are difficult to write. I could definitely have some expertise on that, but yeah, they're not easy to write. And also like Cardano, they just came out, right? So now people will have to get used to it, and that's probably going to take at least a year to or two to get to where Ethereum is like today, right? And Ethereum is going to continue to innovate. I mean, I work at a DeFi startup. What we're doing is fixed rate lending and borrowing on DeFi, right? That is innovative. That is not something that exists at the moment. So if you wanted to get a DeFi loan, it's the rate's going to be floating, and that's not very useful. In traditional finance, lending is mostly fixed. If you want it to be useful, I mean, if you just want to speculate and leverage trade, that doesn't matter. But if you actually want to do stuff with a loan, or actually get fixed income like retirement, for example, and you need fixed rate lending and borrowing. Borrowing is the hard part because borrowing is where the yield is coming from. So that's tough to get right. Lending is relatively easier. There's a couple of platforms that can stabilize your lending yield, like Barn Bridge and whatnot. But borrowing, that's tricky, right? Basically all of the top DeFi coins: Uniswap, Barn Bridge, Aave, Compound, all of them.
Okay.
Wire and Finance, Curve, all of them.
From your perspective, is
no Hex scam.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
From your perspective, is there limitations on the use of these different projects on the Ethereum blockchain because of the cost right now? You know, are there people that would be using them if they were less expensive at this point?
Well, I think that is partially true. I think Ethereum right now is for larger players to kind of experiment with and innovate. I feel, well, this may be a little selfish, but I feel like it might be a little too risky for small players anyway. DeFi is very experimental, right? Like you have to really understand that. It's not, it is very, very alpha-ish, right? Everything could break down at any moment. So this isn't something that's like well established or, so I feel like, yeah, it is very expensive for a small player to get in. That is true. But at the same time, I feel like it's, in a way, it's kind of, that barrier is kind of there to also make sure like you know what you're doing before you kind of enter. The smaller players can use some of the other chains, but they're even riskier, right? Like Polygon, for example. I just don't see any kind of innovation happening there. It's just all just copy pasta Ethereum contracts, right? So yeah, so yeah, it is, but I feel like that's improving, right? Like Ethereum layer 2 solutions, the L2s, optimism, Arbitrum, there's going to be ZK rollups too, right? And then they just have to make sure that the thing about any type of L2 or side chain, you have to look at the bridge. That's the piece that's really needs a lot of attention, because you have to make sure it's decentralized. You can't have like just a multi-sig. That's not good enough, right? So yeah, so that's the kind of the thing that you have to look at, is the bridge and see how it's designed. Like when I invest, I need to read the code. I can't just invest without knowing what's going on, right? I cannot invest based on just the website and the white paper. I need to actually see the implementation, how it's actually getting.
Okay, that's one advantage you have over most of us, if not all of us. Could you give maybe us a perspective from the coding or the technical end, what it would take for someone to launch a coin, or how would you recommend? I've seen some of these websites that, hey, launch a coin on Ethereum in 15 minutes,
Developing for Ethereum is a pain in the butt. I'm just gonna get it out there, right? That's all. It's like the thing I tell people is that crypto is all fun and games until you have to actually build stuff. It's like a pain in the butt. It is functional, right? Which is good, but it is not easy, right? The Ethereum has a lot of tools. The tools are okay. I wish we had better tools, but at least you have some tools, right? In terms of developing and also debugging. That's very important, right? You need to be able to run it on your machine, and you have to have absolute control over the blockchain locally to be able to like forward, go back, go, move forward, revert, do all that stuff back and forth to make sure like everything works correctly before you even get to like a testnet deployment, to make sure it's working, and you need to write unit tests, right? And then also another set of tools would be something like that would allow you to operate your smart contracts, some smart contract ops, right? After you deploy your smart contracts to mainnet, how are you going to fix shit, like, right? if things break, right? So smart contract operations, that's kind of an emerging thing. Like Open Zeppelin is doing a lot of good work. They don't have tokens, so don't even bother trying to invest in them, but they provide a pretty good framework for you to operate your smart contracts, emergency pausing, for example, doing admin upgrades. Governance is another important thing when it comes to a DeFi project, right? So yeah, so it's complicated to launch something correctly. I mean, Notional Finance, the V1 was launched sometime last year, and then it's taken us almost a year, and we're still working on a V2. So we're probably trying to launch like sometime next month, but it's a lot of work. It is really not easy, right? You can launch a token pretty easily, but what are you gonna do with the token if you don't have something to back it up, right? You have a project to back it up, or you have a product to back it up. that product is not going to be easy, and you need somebody who actually knows the math behind it, right? Like fixed rate lending has a lot of math in terms of the interest rate curve and all that stuff. If you need to understand that all that stuff, right? We actually have some ex Wall Street traders, interest rates, trading interest rate swaps and stuff, and they work at Notional to develop these mathematical models and things like that, right? Like if you look at a lot of these copy pasta projects, they don't even understand the math. They have no idea what they're actually copying. So like, it's funny because yesterday somebody posted some code from like a Solana copy pasta project, and there was a comment in there that's like, I don't know why there's a 4 here. I think it's from some sort of calculus, but we just copied that over from Curve Finance, right? So that's not good, right? You don't want if you don't understand the math, you probably shouldn't be running this financial product. So yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like you really shouldn't be doing that. So that's it's not easy, right? Launching a actual DeFi financial product is not easy. Launching a token is pretty easy, at least nowadays. You can probably generate a token contract even from OpenZeppelin. I think OpenZeppelin, there's a contract wizard you can just use, right? I don't have the link, but you can just look for it. It's OpenZeppelin. It's like smart contract wizard or something. Oh, sorry, wrong.
Let me, Mauricio, let me, I'm thinking you probably have a question or two of James that might be interesting or functional based on what he shared with us and what you've talked about. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to.
Sure. Actually, I just pinged him.
Okay.
I have a whole setup of questions. I have a day to discuss with this guy. But what would you, James? What would be the first thing you would do to launch a cryptocurrency that is geared towards benefiting, a community per se? And yeah, I mean, I guess we could start with that.
So like a cryptocurrency, as in like you wanted to launch like a bunch of tokens that the community can own, or you're thinking about launching an actual blockchain and have the community members run nodes, and what's sort of the idea?
I don't know if you were here earlier.
No, I just joined like 20 minutes ago, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I work closely with the government of Costa Rica in importing goods, and I have possible ways to initiate a crypto with a theme that would be the environment or the jungle, preservation of the jungle, and also, I guess that would be a secondary, or maybe up there on giving people power to. I know there's the independence part, but because a crypto that's well advertised or makes a lot of noise, and I think that becomes a marketing issue, not a crypto issue, which is where I come in. But once something makes a lot of noise, wealth comes in, money comes in. I can think of, okay, well, let's make a crypto where I'm not big about a crypto that has all the wealth concentrated. 2-3 guys own 40% of it. It would be something like whatever happens wherever it goes. If you have investors, people buying, now you have a percentage of that coin, of tokens, what have you, that would be allocated to certain purpose, right? And
so is this going to be a private
and then it
coin
could
or
be
public?
That's a tricky question. I don't know the benefits of either right now. To to get flat on that. I can see a whole lot of problems going into a public kind of scenario, but it's same with private, right? But maybe you can give me some feedback on
Yeah.
that.
So the
But
thing
just
about
to finish
launching, yeah, okay.
that because I have this relationship for many years, I can get into airports down there and I can say, hey, why don't we start here? When we have people, there's so much traffic that goes there, the people that love Costa Rica, wealthy people, why don't we start here and start, accepting coins for items that are sold here, right? So, but you come in with a PR or marketing of, this is an eco situation that we're talking about. I know there is the aspect of let's get independent from the government, but we are here with another purpose, that is, how do we impact the communities here? How do we support the environment? And it would be almost like now you have capitalists trying to knock down mountains for hotels and so forth, but now we have other set of capitalists that are environmentally friendly that might not want to take that on, right? And so that's kind of like the main idea. Lots. It's just a very basic idea.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to comment too much on the kind of the geopolitical or any of that stuff. But what I can do is, from a technical standpoint, or from kind of a liquidity standpoint, one issue I potentially see with launching your own totally different crypto is that in order to have your for example, if you wanted to make it public, right, then you need to somehow bridge liquidity over to your crypto. Now, at the moment, I am not aware of any good or at least robust decentralized solution to cross-chain liquidity. So you're going to be looking at centralized exchanges. I'm not a huge fan of centralized exchanges. I almost never use centralized exchange. I basically never use centralized exchanges. I don't even remember the last time I used Coinbase or any centralized exchanges, right? So I'm really big on DeFi, but the problem is, at the moment there isn't a good solution to cross-chain liquidity. So if you got some liquidity is gonna be very fragmented. So you got a bunch of coins here, a bunch of coins here, all existing all in these different ecosystems, and there isn't a good way to really help people kind of trade or swap the liquidity kind of in a decentralized fashion. So you're gonna have to either list on a centralized exchange somewhere, or have kind of private peer-to-peer type of liquidity, which they're both kind of bad, right? I'm aware of a few projects that are trying to solve that problem, but they're getting hacked all the time, which is telling me that this isn't easy to solve. It's not an easy problem to solve, right? So that's why I'm slightly sort of against launching a totally different blockchain, unless there is a good reason to do so, right? Like, are you trying to solve a problem that one of the existing chains can't solve, right? Or are you trying to do a private deployment? That might be a reasonable argument for launching a new chain. Is we're going to have this closed ecosystem, right? That's not connected to anybody. It's not a public blockchain. I would see something there if that's the goal. Otherwise, launching another public blockchain is I mean, unless you really have a good reason to do that, like you're going to innovate in some area, like you don't think the current smart contracts are good enough. You're thinking about implementing something, and you need to have some technical sort of capacity to make that work, right? That's why a lot of the chains fail, because they just talk. They don't have the actual technical sort of know-how to actually go and implement it. They're like, we're gonna do like 1 million TPS. Well, how are you gonna do that, right? How are you gonna do that and still remain decentralized? I don't think so, right? So that's the kind of thing that people are they're just talking, right? So you actually need, so if you think that you have kind of the technical expertise to go and implement something, and that's better than all of the existing kind of, and you have to not just you have to think, you have to also convince all, like me, people like me, right? You have to convince existing developers to migrate over to your platform. Like if you're like, oh, I'm going to launch something that's going to kill Ethereum, well, I'm going to have to believe in that vision as well, right? If I don't think that's going to kill Ethereum, how are you going to convince developers to actually build on top of it? And a lot of these chains are struggling, right? That's why things like EOS and Tron really failed. It's because they weren't able to attract developers. Like developers didn't believe in their stuff, right? They're like, yeah, I don't think so, right? So when that happens, it's very tough, because even if you have the technical expertise to put together a chain, there's still so much work that needs to be done to actually build apps on top of it, to build. It's like you can write your own operating system, but if nobody wants to build, you can think of your blockchain as kind of like operating system, like Windows or Linux, right? If you just have an operating system, there's actually a lot of operating systems out there, to be honest, that people have created over the years. But who's building apps for those operating systems? Nobody, right? So you actually need application developers to come in and say, oh, this is a good platform. I like it. I'm going to build on top of it, and then I'm going to attract customers, right? Yeah, that you need that to happen in order for your blockchain or platform to succeed.
Yeah, if he's just looking at launching a token or a coin, what would be that, maybe, give us like the 3 to 5 steps to look at and consider, as far as why you choose one existing blockchain over another, that kind of a thing?
Yeah, if you just want to launch a token, then you can just, like I said, use the Open Zeppelin contract to create a simple Ethereum contract. If you think layer 1 is too expensive, you can create a layer 2 contract and have people just transact on Arbitrum or Optimism and never have to touch layer 1. Now, a lot of the exchanges are integrating, so they will be integrated pretty soon. So soon you could just go from Coinbase over to, like, you buy some Ethereum and you can just send that straight over to optimistic Ethereum without actually going through layer 1, right? So like a lot of that stuff is happening, and the reason I'm suggesting Ethereum is because it is the most battle tested. The whole ecosystem is already very experimental to begin with, so I wouldn't recommend something that's even more experimental, like Polkadot or Cardano, right? So it is the very battle tested. You don't want your contract to get hacked. Let's just put it this way, right? So you want a contract that's dependable, and it's got all the reentrancy issues, all the initialization issues, all the common hacks that have already been addressed, and then you just launch using that, right? That's probably my best recommendation, would be to launch something that's but the reason I'm even recommending the wizard is because you really don't want to be writing a smart contract unless you really know how to do it. And even if you know how to do it, you still got to get it audited. I mean, you should, at least, right?
Hey, James.
Yeah.
Quick question. Now that you're on the subject, isn't there a way to hop on Bitcoin and sort of do like a branch of Bitcoin, and then now you're using their
yeah, but that's hard, right? That's not trivial. That's even harder than launching a Ethereum contract, right? Because you if you want to fork Bitcoin and then modify it, then you need to actually understand what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to end up with the like the thing I just talked about. Like, I have no idea why there's a 4 here. I just, from some other project, I'm just using it, right? If you're gonna fork a project, you need to have some deep understanding of what the code is actually doing.
Yeah.
Not just to make sure like you have peace of mind after you launch. You also need to be able to fix things, because if you deploy your coin, everybody's validating, and all of a sudden there's a bug. Are you going to be able to go in there and fix it, right? So that's the why I'm usually not I usually don't recommend just forking a chain and making changes unless you know what you're doing and you have a purpose, right? So the launching a contract using a well-known tool built by Open Zeppelin, which is a very well-known blockchain security firm. They do audits, although they didn't want to audit our smart contracts because they were too complicated. That was their. They
What's
were
the
saying
name
there's
again?
too much code. What was my name? Or
No,
the name of the project?
blockchain.
Oh no, it's not a blockchain. It's a DeFi project with notional finance, notional.finance. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, but Open Zeppelin, they have a lot of experience and they're very good at auditing smart contracts. So if you launch a token using their smart contract, the wizard, it's pretty good, right? You have peace of mind that the contract's not going to get hacked. Most likely not going to get hacked. Nothing is 100% when it comes to smart contracts, but it is pretty good. Like you can almost kind of feel like it's 100%. So yeah, that's the best way to do it. Then you can have your own kind of token distribution mechanism, how you want to distribute your tokens. You can do it in kind of an initialization way, or you can do kind of an airdrop if that's another kind of mechanism. There's an airdrops. I mean, that's a pretty good mechanism. A lot of DeFi projects do it. It makes it you can make your thing pretty decentralized pretty quickly. And yeah, that's not a bad way to do it. Although you should also use like an airdrop template, a standard, like some that's Uniswap has a pretty good template for doing airdrops. Right.
Great. Yeah, thank you, James, for the feedback.
Yeah, that was good, James. Hey, Michael, you joined us a little bit later on here. Anything to add or questions for James?
No, I didn't mean to come so late. I apologize. Something else kept me away. But
Hey, no
this
worries.
is recorded, right? I'll be able to review it later.
Absolutely.
Sure. No, I'm just listening. I'm just trying to continue to educate myself. I've been doing this about 4 years, so any little bit of information I can get is always helpful. So
Exactly, and it's always changing, so we always need to keep learning.
Yes.
Elias, looks like there might be something you're looking to say or jump in here.
Well, I'm just listening too. Like I'm just taking it all in.
Okay.
I'm kind of suspect. I mean, I'm kind of guilty of that the person creating the random contract. I was thinking that's how I would just copy and paste. It's like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm into yield farming. I've been doing it a while. And as I was looking at the contracts, I was like, you could just copy and paste the code and then do it yourself and then, you know, do it. But then now that you're spreading some light, I'm like, maybe that was a horrible idea. But yeah, I'm just taking in this information. I'm really glad to hear it from you, James. Really appreciate
Well,
it.
if you're gonna copy, here's the thing: if you're gonna copy, just make a copy, like verbatim. Don't change anything. Like it's funny because there was a project not long ago, right? They made a copy, but they're like, why is this thing here? If I remove it, it's gonna save me some gas. So they removed it, and then they got hacked about 2 months later. So the the thing is, if you don't understand why it's there, just leave it there. If you're gonna make a copy, just make a copy. Don't go and try to optimize it if you have no idea what you're doing, right? Because so they removed a thing that that was guarding against reinitialization. So they removed it. So somebody else was able to come in and reinitialize the contract and essentially take ownership of the contract. So yeah. So there's a
Sorry,
What was
was
that?
that Poly Network?
No, Poly
Oh,
is something
it's
else.
different?
That's
Oh,
cross-chain
okay.
liquidity. See, like I said, it's not easy, right?
Mm.
Thorchain gets hacked once every week, and or every other week, and it's not easy. But like it's some other project that there is a very good website that keeps track of all of these things. It's called rect.news,
Oh, yeah. Saw
right?
that.
That's actually really good. They actually
Yeah.
go very deep into each exploit. So you can actually shows you the code where the exploit is happening, and it actually tells you exactly what they did that kind of led to that exploit. It's very good. I suggest, like, if you're going to be in DeFi, this is going to be the thing that you want to pay attention to, right?
It's called Rect News.
Rect.news, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
It's technical.
Yes.
Yes, it is very technical. Yes.
Can somebody type that into the chat?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it changes. It goes to direct message every time somebody sends me a message.
Yeah, good.
I would have never known the spelling.
Yeah, it gets pretty creative sometimes on the spelling because the other ones are taken or whatever. Good. Yeah, that's so. I think you probably illustrated that doing your own coin is not something we're going to do in an afternoon. It's gonna be a little more to it. As far as the liquidity, James, give us an idea on that liquidity. How does that work or need to work when we launch? So say Mauricio launched his coin, and I don't know if he gets to choose how much liquidity he wants to have there, but what would kind of the steps be?
Yeah, so when you launch a token, depending on what it is, right? So if you're launching your own totally different blockchain, like you fork Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever chain, right? Then you're only, because your chain isn't going to be compatible with any existing stuff. Like you're not going to be able to plug it into Ethereum.
Right.
You're not going to be able to, right? So in that case, your real option is just to go through a centralized exchange for the liquidity bootstrapping, like an initial exchange offering or something. With that mechanism, I mean, you really, the trick here is to pick a nice exchange. But typically, if your coin is so new, or if you're not very well known, usually these exchanges will try to scam you, or at least try to hold you hostage, right? They'll try to give you like pretty bad terms, right? That you have to do. It's the same thing in any business, right? If you're small and you're trying to do something, they're always going to try to take advantage of you, right?
Yeah, I've heard like $50,000 to $100,000.
Yeah, it's not good, right?
Yeah, so let's talk in terms of launching an Ethereum token, because that's easier and safe. What would
when you launch an Ethereum token, what you can do is you can do a couple of things. So you can do something like direct listing. So you directly just put it onto, just throw it onto Uniswap, right? That's called a initial DEX offering, IDO, right? So you pick a DEX and then you just list your contracts. I can even do that, right? Because I can even do that without going through the UI, because I can actually call smart contracts against my own Ethereum node, and I can actually go and just launch that coin. Now, when you do that, when you do the IDO, you're going to be responsible for the initial liquidity, right? So you're going to set the price. So set the initial price, whatever you want the price to be, through Uniswap or SushiSwap, whatever swap, right? Or if you're doing Polygon, it'd be something like QuickSwap. And then after you set the price, then you can add liquidity to the liquidity pool. So you'd be putting in Ethereum, or not Ethereum. It could be Ethereum, depending on how you want to structure. If you wanted to go from your token to USDC, if you wanted that pair, you'd be adding USDC and your token. If you wanted Ethereum and traded against your token traded against Ethereum, you'd be adding Ethereum and your token. Now, that's one approach. Another approach would be to go through what's called a liquidity launch pad or liquidity bootstrapping platform. So there's a couple of them. A well-known one would be something called Miso, and that is from SushiSwap. So you can go on to like SushiSwap, sushi.com actually nowadays is, and then you could just click on Miso at the top, right? And then this thing is called a liquidity launch pad or liquidity bootstrapping. So what this allows you to do is to do a pre-sale. So that way you're not going to be responsible for your initial liquidity because you can just sell your tokens directly to other investors to raise the initial liquidity, right? Now, in order to do that, you need to actually talk to them. You can't just do it just like that, right? This isn't going to be like direct listing where you just directly add your token to Uniswap and there's nothing they can do about it. Like the SEC can say, hey, don't use Uniswap. Well, that's not going to work because I know how to call these contracts directly. I mean, I don't even have to go through the UI. So you can do that. That's one approach, right? Or you can do the liquidity bootstrapping through a launch pad. And if you wanted to launch on other chain, every chain has some projects that can help you do that. I've never actually been through a launch pad, so I don't actually know what they require because we just always do like direct, because we know how to do it. But if you're going through a launch pad, they're probably going to ask you for some information about the project, about the liquidity, and how much you plan to raise and stuff like that. It's very similar to like a IPO, but except in this case, this platform is going to be doing the listing and the underwriting and all of that. So so you have a couple of choices for a Ethereum compatible or EVM compatible, or doesn't even have to be EVM. It just has to be compatible with something. Like it can be for example a Terra. There's a blockchain called Terra. You can do it up there. Like you could launch a Terra token, which is going to be different from Ethereum. It's not even Solidity, it's some other, so Rust or something, and then you can write a contract there or copy some other guy's contract, just copy a contract, and then launch through something called Pylon, I think, or something. Pylon is their Miso, essentially, is their liquidity launch pad. So you can use that to launch, and then TerraSwap is their version of Uniswap. So that's one option. Solana too, right? They have a set of things. Every chain has the same, and Avalanche is going to have the same. Everybody's going to be doing the same stuff, which is why that's what I'm saying. Like we need some sort of innovation, right? If you're just copying, I mean, it's gonna be okay for a while because people are like, oh, this is a new thing. There's some free money. I mean, why not, right? Let's just go. But after a while, they're gonna be like, yeah, where's the innovation, right?
Yeah. You had asked Mauricio about private versus public chains, and we pretty much work with the public. What have you seen in development as far as private blockchains, and what are organizations or companies using them for, or how are they using them?
Yeah, like for example, I actually have a friend who works at a startup, and they're running a private blockchain to basically reach consensus on some data analysis that they're doing, right? So that blockchain is just there to basically do kind of is a way to design kind of a distributed system, and they're just using that property, right? So they're not looking to tokenize or I mean, it's just the system just has a bunch of nodes that kind of just vote internally to reach consensus. So that's kind of like what a private blockchain is. It's just not something that kind of connects with the rest of the ecosystem, and it has its own sort of consensus mechanism, and then kind of people are just doing it in private. You can obviously have a private chain that can do everything that you can do with Ethereum. Actually, the whatever tool. So I use this thing called Brownie. Oh, this is gonna get real technical. So
Go easy
so
on us.
if you're not an Ethereum developer, this is gonna sound crazy. So so like there's this project. I can actually link it in the chat. So so this project is what I use daily to kind of debug and deal with Ethereum. You can launch your private chain with that, to be honest, because you just have to create a network. It allows you to create a network, and then you can just and it acts as a node, right? So you could do that, but it's going to be just you,
Right.
right? And you're not gonna. It's not going to be. But you can set all the rules. You could do whatever you want. But it is based on EVM, so you have to kind of bound by Ethereum. But aside from that, there's not much else, right? You could put contracts on there. You can do your own sort of. You can set all whatever. Yeah, you could do a lot of stuff with that, right? But that's very technical. Like this isn't something that that you just read this up for a day and then start coding.
Right. Right.
That's straightforward.
It's probably been a year ago that I thought I read something about JP Morgan was launching their own internal blockchain for, transactions and maybe international transactions. Do you know anything about that? Or, I mean,
I rarely follow that stuff. I mean, there's I thought like Azure, Microsoft, they you can launch Ethereum. I would imagine it'd be similar to this. They just deploy a couple of nodes for you, and then just run kind of like a isolated Ethereum network, at least EVM compatible, right? Yeah, so Azure can do it. So there's the Microsoft Azure service. So if you're so this is if you wanted to launch a private chain, you can look into this, the Azure blockchain service. That's right. That's a possibility. I think Google, I don't know if they're still doing it. I thought they were gonna do something. And I think AWS probably, right? So yeah, all these cloud providers are thinking about definitely providing a way to kind of deploy a private chain. But again, this also isn't super straightforward. You gotta know how to use Azure. Preferably you want somebody with some DevOps experience to come in and operate this stuff, and maintenance and stuff like that. But yeah, that's I guess one way to do it is to go through a cloud provider. Since it's private, I mean, you really don't need that kind of decentralization. So
right.
So yeah.
Okay. What about medical records? I always thought medical records would be a good thing to put on a blockchain. And then if we, theoretically had the private key for our own records, we could go into a doctor's office and give them like write access to them, or read access, and then maybe write access for 12 hours for them to update based on our appointment, that kind of thing. Do you see anything like that going on in medical terms?
That's gonna be that's going to be a little tricky to solve with the tools we have. I mean, we're going to need some kind of privacy features for smart contracts. I don't know if you even want to make it based on smart contracts, but you could. I mean, that's probably the way to do it. But then, yeah, we're going to need some privacy features that I don't know if that stuff is how developed that stuff is. I've been hearing some stuff around it, like around zero knowledge proofs and things like that. But that's very advanced math. I don't know how far away that thing is.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I agree. It could potentially work. Right, if we could have these privacy features baked into smart contracts, then potentially you can set different roles and have different access levels, and based on your access level, certain information gets revealed.
Right. Right. 'Cause
That is possible. Yeah, it's not possible right now. It's just I'm saying that with with more privacy stuff, all the features that they're implementing and adding to smart contracts, maybe it'll be possible at some point.
Okay. Because it seems like with medical records, the ultimate role and responsibility, it should be for ourselves, and it's not like, oh, my doctor's responsible for mine and my family's. It's like, no, I need to be responsible for mine, and we ultimately should have control over our own medical records. And it seems like the blockchain is almost the only way to do that, and to be able to function with, doctors around the country or the world, that kind of thing.
Yeah, right now everything is public, right? Even NFTs. I mean, first of all, they haven't even, I don't even know how they're going to deal with storage moving forward when it comes to NFTs. That's a huge problem that I don't think anybody's even paying attention to that problem, because they're just busy like outbidding one another. I don't.
Unstoppable Domains is working on this problem.
Well, who's working on this?
Unstoppable Domains.
Yeah, but I mean, the biggest issue I see with blockchain storage is just first of all, decentralized storage is not going to be cheap. If people think that this is going to be cheaper than centralized storage, I don't think that's true, right? I think it's actually going to probably be more expensive.
I think you should look into the storage market. Decentralized market is growing quite rapidly. Coins like Filecoin and storage.
Yeah, well, Filecoin, first of all,
services.
yes. So there's okay. So when it comes to decentralized storage, there's multiple layers, right? IPFS is kind of the lookup layer, right? I don't know if you guys know anything about IPFS, but that is basically a distributed hash table. So you're saying, I want to find this piece of information that has this kind of signature hash, right? Where can I find it? That's basically the question that you're asking. So it's similar to like BitTorrent. Then you have these storage providers like Filecoin and Pinata and the pinning services, and they actually do the actual storage for you. And a lot of these things are fairly centralized, right? Filecoin, in order to run a node, it's ridiculous the amount of hardware you need.
Yes, you can pay for partial storage and decentralized storage. That exists today. It's complex to use because it doesn't have a good interface for the average user. But it is possible today to use these things, and they do not cost what AWS costs. So the idea that they're going to be somehow more expensive than centralized storage probably is not as accurate as you might think.
No, I think that no. The reason why they are cheaper is because they're subsidized.
Because NFTs cannot be stored on the blockchain. There's far too much data there. So it has to be stored in an either centralized or decentralized way. Most people who want to store do not, when they're talking about using decentralized storage, it's more attractive than AWS because it represents a sharded version of their data that is encrypted. And
that is true, but it's cheaper now because of subsidized.
Much more difficult than it is in a centralized world, and this is part of the attraction. Even if the costs were at parity, many people would prefer decentralized storage for its additional security. Okay. One of the big problems being solved in NFTs is storage. And that's one of the things that they're working on. I think you should look closer at what Unstoppable Domains is doing in this space, because they've recognized the problem and have been working and partnering with other people to solve it.
Look, I've been following decentralized storage since the MadeSafe days. Okay, so MadeSafe, I've been looking at Storj, I've been looking at Siacoin, almost every single decentralized storage project I have looked into. So I've been following decentralized storage, and the biggest issue I see is actually how to deliver and also cost, bandwidth, both bandwidth and storage, right? So the reason you're saying that things are cheaper right now is because they're heavily subsidized, in the sense that they're either offering it for free and eating up the cost, or they're giving you tokens, or somehow they're compensating you for using it.
And so who's
not going to last.
James,
That's not going to last.
Just to clarify, who's doing the subsidizing? The Filecoin project or organization?
All the pinning services, like Pinata, for example, lets you store for free for a certain amount of. Well, how are they offering it? Well, that's just they're subsidizing. They're just right. They still have to somehow eat up the cost. I mean, it's
inflationary token release. Okay. So the storage providers are being paid off in inflationary release of excess tokens. This is how it's happening today until the storage density goes up. When the storage density goes up, then it makes more sense for those who provide the decentralized storage to be paid by users. When only a small fraction of their data storage capability is being used, they're not incentivized. This is why there is inflationary release at this time.
What about bandwidth? Actually, bandwidth is probably a bigger issue than actual storage per se, because bandwidth.
But it has to do with how fast you're taking it down to. And since it's decentralized, you're coming from multiple sources. So the total bandwidth required from an individual output, say an uplink from an individual user, is much lower than the amount that you can actually take in, because if you're sharded out 1,000 times, then you're getting 1,000 times the bandwidth of those limits. So
that's very ideal. I mean, I've been following these projects. Like, a lot of these projects are promising that internet is going to be decentralized. Like your website is going to be sharded up and stored across all of these providers. That just it hasn't happened, and it's not about to be solved soon.
Do you not host anything decentralized?
Do
you not hold anything decentralized?
What do you mean?
Do I website? Do you hold a decentralized vlog or blog? Because these things are already being done.
Nah, I don't think so. Well, give me a website that's hosted that way.
I'm sorry, what?
Like which blog site is being hosted that way? Like, that's not experimental. That's not like an alpha or.
I'm gonna tell you that. You should go look at Unstoppable Domains and find out.
Unstoppable Domains. Why are you bringing up Unstoppable Domains?
Because they're a leader in that space and they're trying to innovate in the availability of IPFS based websites. You can go and get your own website web handle today, and you can store it and give links to it through IPFS, through Unstoppable Domains, and you can run your own website without having to use Big Daddy or GoDaddy or whatever else it is that everybody wants to sell you in the centralized world. See, this is part of the advance of crypto that is what is attractive to everybody. So yes, Web3 is clunky right now. Yeah, it's a little bit hard to use right now, but there are plenty of things in the Web3 space that are growing every day. And so if you haven't checked recently, you might want to go back and look at what they're doing today.
All right. I think we're just about at our time limit here, guys. Any last minute thoughts you guys want to throw in, or little questions that didn't get answered? Anyone?
Well, first of all, I'm new at this stuff, but I'll tell you, it's great to see James and Scott go at it. I think I'm learning a little bit, real slow, but you guys keep coming back. The more you talk, the more I learn. Thank you very much.
Good, good. And James asked, somebody asked in chat there if you're on Twitter. I don't know if you're on Twitter.
No, I'm not. I'm not on Twitter. No.
Okay, okay, good. All right, guys. Well, I'll get this recording. It takes a while to upload and all that good stuff, but I'll send out a link to the recording and hope to see you next month. And I'll try to get Pat, who is supposed to be with us, get him on in the future and go from there. Renee, did you want to say something real quick?
I wanted to say something.
Yeah.
So Maurice, it will be interesting to keep updated on what you're doing, and maybe others, we can help you in some way. So it'll be interesting to watch you.
Yeah, I left my information on the chat. Please contact me. I'm at a learning stage, and the idea I have is clear, and I think it's doable. The other stuff in between, it's a learning curve and a team effort. And so please contact me, and I love this group. Thank you so much. I'll follow you guys, see what next time. Hopefully I can make it.
Excellent. Yeah, great to see so many new folks and some old folks as well. James, thanks for all the information you shared. That was great to hear that technical perspective. I know I was geeking out a little bit, and it looks like Deborah was as well. So that's always good.
Come back.
I have a question actually just for the group, Brad, for next time. I'm in the middle right now trying to evaluate tax software for crypto. And does anybody have experience or is using crypto tax software? I'd like to talk to you about it. My goal will be for next month. I hope to have something chosen and working with right now. So
Yeah,
Coinly, tax,
I've used cointracking.info. I just put a link in there. I was kind of thinking maybe talking about that in January. I know we did that last January. We talked about, the tax stuff kind of thing. So
yeah, I want to get up to speed now in case there are, 2021 decisions to be made.
That's true. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we need to move that up. So
yeah, tax loss harvesting, I mentioned before.
Right. Good.
I was just curious, has the IRS given any, they're so vague when it comes to crypto in terms of how they're going to tax it. Although they did have a little question on this year's tax return, whether you purchased or participated in any purchasing of crypto. Is that what you're talking about, Deborah?
Yeah, actually the purchasing, if you look on the IRS website, you could actually hit no if you had not sold crypto, even if you had purchased crypto. So you have to really look into that. But yes, going forward, since I have actually sold this year, I want to be able to, there's two ways that you can identify sales to the IRS. It's a first in, first out. They do not recognize last in, first out, but they do identify a direct identification of a particular crypto. So you have to have tracking software in order to do that. And you want that anyway, because you want to be able to choose the price you paid, whether it's a shorter term holding less than a year or a longer term holding, more than a year, versus capital losses. Maybe you want to take a loss versus a gain. It depends on your tax situation that year. So, some of this tax software will make it clearer. It'll bring in all of your transactions across the board from the different exchanges, that you've used to buy or sell. If it's private, it's private. But,
oh yeah, private. Yeah. Well, let's not get into that.
Yeah, so that's, I'm looking at like 5 of these things right now. I've kind of got it narrowed down. I'll choose one and then maybe another one, and look at ease of use and all that stuff.
Do you have an idea if they're going to retroactively go back X number of years?
Oh, you never know what the IRS is going to do, but to their credit, and probably the most important thing in the crypto space is that they recognize crypto as property. So you don't have, there are a lot of intelligent people there who have an
Oh.
understanding, it's not all just slouches, right? That was
Okay.
a really, really important thing for the IRS to do. Are they going to go back retroactively to do taxes? I don't know if there's a history necessarily of them doing that. I don't know, if they would start. I don't know, haven't looked into a history, along those lines. But I would think there are so many wealthy people into this, and probably IRS people into this.
Well, you look at someone like Max Kaiser, who was buying crypto, was buying Bitcoin in the pennies or the dollars or the $10 per coin thing. And he has hundreds of thousands of them, but he bought them like in 2015 or 2010. That's going back. I've been in this for 4 years. I wonder.
Good for him. Start, washing your coins.
But the question is, has he sold them yet?
No, Max
yeah,
hasn't
that's right.
sold. Max the holder.
Yeah, so then there's no issue yet.
Look, I'm going to go back to Peter Thiel, right? Who started, one of the co-founders, right, of what eventually became PayPal. Okay, so it was in the news, when ProPublica released a lot of hacked documents. His tax return was in there. He's got $5 billion in a Roth IRA, and we talked about that previously. That was $1,700 that he started with, right? That grew to $5 billion. Now, the IRS can say, hey, your accountant was a smart guy. Going forward, we're going to put a $3 million cap, on that. But retroactively, they're not saying that. So.
Okay. Like I said, I've been into this. I've been buying Bitcoin since it was 1,700, and it's a little higher now. So, are they gonna? Anyhow, I'm just curious about some of these things. There's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The bottom line is you don't ever want to think about screwing the IRS. But
good luck.
But you want to bring in tools. You want to bring in tools.
Right.
To do your best diligence, and that's why I'm asking about the tax loss, the tax software right now.
I appreciate the letting us have the conversation, Brad. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's good. Deborah, if you want to send me which ones you're evaluating, maybe I'll send those out to everybody and say, hey, let's do this meeting in November or whatever, and then here's some to look at, and then we come together and discuss them as a group.
Yeah, I put it up on the spreadsheet originally.
Okay, go back to that.
Yeah, because it was like a current interest of mine. I was looking for somebody who could talk to about it.
Okay.
So there was a Coin Tracker, there was Coinly, Accointing. I think I listed 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, I got them here. Okay. If there's any other ones, add them there, and then I'll take those and email those out to everyone. And
yeah, there's you can just pull up crypto tax software, and
I'll go back to our January meeting and pull those out too.
And it'll show right on the internet, there's a site, show top 5 or top 8. Yeah.
Right. Excellent. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for joining and contributing, and look forward to next month. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.